The Arizona sun burned white over Clearwater Air Base, turning the tarmac into a wavering haze, between lines of sleek F-35A Lightning IIs and hulking C-17A Globemasters. One relic stood apart, its silver skin faded and scarred, yet defiant under the desert light. Across its nose, the name Iron Grace curved beneath the ghost of pin-up art, nearly erased by time. Beside her stood Thomas "Tom" Mercer, 99 years old. His back was bent, his hands trembling slightly, but his movements carried purpose. He ran a soft cloth along the cowling of a Pratt & Whitney R-1830 twin Wasp engine, each stroke patient, methodical. There was quiet dignity in the way he touched the metal, an intimacy forged long before the jets around him were even conceived. From across the flight line, 3 young airmen wandered closer, their boots echoed, their laughter careless. Staff Sergeant Ryan Hale led them, his sunglasses flashing in the heat. "Hey, Grandpa," Hale called out. "You sure you're cleared to be out here?" Tom didn't answer. Only the steady rhythm of cloth on aluminum filled the air. Hale smirked, stepping closer to nudge one of the bomber's worn tires with his boot. "This thing even safe to stand under? She's older than dirt." His friends laughed, the sound sharp. Bouncing off hangar walls, Tom kept polishing. The sunlight flashed across the old nose art, and for a heartbeat, his gaze went somewhere else, far above the desert, into cloud and thunder. His hand paused over a row of patched bullet holes. "Sir, I'm talking to you." Hale pressed. "You got any ID?" Tom finally looked up. His pale eyes were steady. "I do." He reached into his coveralls and handed over a worn base pass. Hale turned it over, grinning. "Community Relations Office. That means visit, not touch." Tom said nothing. The desert wind shifted, whispering through the empty bomb bay. Inside, a few loose panels rattled faintly like distant flak somewhere high above. For a brief moment, the laughter faded, and Thomas Mercer wasn't standing in Arizona anymore. He was 20 again, and the engines of Iron Grace were coming alive beneath his hands. If you're watching this right now, tell me, where are you watching from? Every view keeps these stories of courage alive. Hit subscribe, join our mission to honor the ones who flew so others could live. The desert wind carried their laughter away. Staff Sergeant Ryan Hale turned the old laminated pass in his hand, smirking. "Community Relations Office. Huh, so you're the base's antique janitor now." His friends chuckled, but the sound thinned in the dry heat. Tom Mercer didn't respond. His fingers brushed the frayed patch on his sleeve, blue and silver, the emblem of the 15th Air Force Liberator Crew, threadbare but still proud. Hale tilted his head. "What's that supposed to be?" "Grandpa, some kind of biker club." He flicked the patch with a careless finger. The sunlight flared off the bomber's nose just for a second. It became the glare of flak. The steady wind turned to a low rumble, the sound he hadn't heard in 80 years. Then the desert was gone. The warmth vanished, replaced by the freezing sting of high altitude. Beneath his boots, aluminum trembled. The distant hum of jets became the thunder of 4 Pratt & Whitney R-1830 twin Wasps straining against the sky. He was no longer 99. He was 20 again, waist gunner aboard B-24J Iron Grace, 25,000 feet above Germany. The intercom crackled. Bandits. 3 o'clock high. Tom swung the twin handles of his Browning .50 caliber, cold metal biting his palms. Tracers screamed through gray cloud. A Messerschmitt FW-190 flashed past so close he saw the frost on its canopy. Then came the flak. A blinding crack. Shrapnel tore through the fuselage. The No. 2 engine caught fire, smoke trailing like a scar across the sky. Across the waist compartment, young gunner Danny Ohio, Reed flashed a shaky thumbs up, scared but still grinning. Tom's heartbeat matched the rhythm of gunfire. He squeezed the triggers, brass casings spilled like rain. One WWII burst into flame, spiraling earthward. No cheer, no victory, only survival. Then silence. The cold faded. The roar softened into the hum of air conditioners on the tarmac. Tom's hand still rested on Iron Grace's patched skin. His pulse carried the echo of another lifetime. Ryan snorted. "You okay? Old man, you look like you saw a ghost." Tom blinked slowly. "I did, for the first time." Ryan's grin faltered. The laughter was gone. From the hangar door, Mark Delaney Logistics, a former airman, watched quietly. His phone lowered, jaw tight. He knew the name Thomas Mercer, and he knew this wasn't over. The phone buzzed in Mark Delaney's hand. He hesitated only a second before pressing call, his voice steady but tight. "This is Mark Delaney from Logistics. There's a situation on the Heritage Flight Line. Staff Sergeant Ryan Hale and his team are confronting Mr. Thomas Mercer, the veteran assigned to the B-24 restoration. It's escalating." The voice on the other end stiffened. "Did you say Thomas Mercer?" "Yes, ma'am, that Mercer." Across the tarmac, Hale jabbed a finger at the old man's chest, his tone rising. Mark's jaw clenched as he watched. Sunlight flaring off the phone's screen. Inside, Clearwater Air Base headquarters. Colonel Marcus Avery sat through a budget briefing that droned like static. When the line from Logistics patched directly to his desk, a channel reserved for emergencies, he straightened at once. "Sir," came the clipped voice. "There's been an incident. Mr. Thomas Mercer, Heritage Flight Line." Avery's pen froze midair. "Thomas Mercer?" "Yes, sir. The same man who flew with your great-grandfather's unit." For a heartbeat. Silence filled the room. Then Avery's chair scraped back, sharp against tile. "Meeting's over," he said flatly. "Get my car ready. Chief Morales rides with me." He crossed to the wall where a black-and-white photograph hung a group of young airmen beside a B-24 Liberator. Iron Grace painted beneath the cockpit. In the center, Staff Sergeant Thomas Mercer, smiling. Beside him, a navigator with the same jawline and eyes as Avery, his great-grandfather. Avery lifted the frame for a moment, his reflection overlapping theirs. "You saved him once." "Sergeant," he murmured. "Guess it's my turn." He slid the photo back, grabbed his cap, and strode for the door. HQ already had Mr. Mercer on the day's Heritage schedule. Avery hadn't planned to intrude until now. Outside, a security cart skidded to a halt first. Radios crackled up and down the line, voices urgent, rippling toward the Heritage Flight Line. Then the black staff car shot forward, Chief Master Sergeant Elena Morales at the wheel. "What's happening, sir?" she asked. Voice taut over the hum. Avery's gaze fixed ahead. Someone's forgotten what respect looks like. The car tore across the runway, tires shrieking. "Out on the flight line." Hale's voice cut through the wind. "That's enough. Old man, you're leaving." He grabbed Tom's arm. Mark stepped forward. "Hey, let go of him." Hale spun. "Furious. Stay out of this." "Civilian." But Tom Mercer didn't flinch. His calm cut through the heat. "You don't want to do that, son." Then came the sound, sharp and rising, the squeal of tires biting asphalt. A black staff car streaked toward them, sunlight flashing off its chrome eagle insignia. Ryan's grip faltered, confusion flickering in his eyes. Mark folded his arms, voice low. "Oh, you're about to find out who you just grabbed." The car skidded to a halt, and out stepped the storm. The staff car rolled to a stop in a wave of heat and silence. Dust swirled as every head on the flight line turned. Colonel Marcus Avery stepped out first. sunlight flashing off the silver eagle on his chest. Beside him, Chief Master Sergeant Elena Morales followed, shoulders squared, expression unreadable. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. Their presence alone froze the airmen in place. Staff Sergeant Ryan Hale stood rigid, his hand still hovering near Tom Mercer's arm. The swagger he wore all morning drained from his face. Avery crossed the tarmac with measured steps, each one echoing in the quiet. He didn't glance at Hale, his eyes locked only on the old man beside the bomber. When he stopped 3 feet away, something happened no one expected. The colonel came to the sharpest salute anyone had ever seen. His voice carried across the flight line like thunder. "Mr. Mercer, sir, it's an honor to have you on my base." Even the desert wind seemed to pause. Morales mirrored her commander's salute. Around them, every airman straightened, as if time itself had called them to attention. Avery lowered his hand and turned toward Hale, his voice cutting the air. "Sergeant, do you have any idea who you are speaking to?" Ryan swallowed hard, unable to speak. "This man," Avery said, motioning to Mercer, "is Staff Sergeant Thomas Mercer, 15th Air Force, B-24 Iron Grace. He flew 27 missions over Europe. On the 27th, his bomber was torn apart by an 88mm flak shell. He stayed at his gun, shot down 3 FW-190s, and kept that crippled bird in the air long enough to save 9 men, including my great-grandfather." Avery's gaze didn't waver. He earned the Silver Star, 2 distinguished flying crosses, 4 air medals, and a Purple Heart. "You wear that uniform because of men like him." Silence blanketed the flight line. The only sound was the faint rattle of Iron Grace's old wings in the wind. Avery stepped closer, voice low but firm. "You saw an old man. I see a living monument." Ryan's throat tightened. "Sir, I didn't know. Now you do," Avery said quietly. "Don't forget it." The tension broke like a gust through still air. Somewhere behind them, a flag snapped in the wind. The sun glinted off the bomber's scarred fuselage, and for a moment, the metal seemed to shine again. Avery turned back to Mercer, his voice softening. "Sir, on behalf of everyone here, I'm deeply sorry." Tom's faint smile carried no bitterness, only memory. "They're just kids." "Colonel," he said, "they see rust, I see ghosts." A warm breeze swept across the tarmac, whispering through Iron Grace's wings like the breath of those long gone. Proud to be remembered. The weeks that followed changed Clearwater Air Base forever. What began as a whisper spread like wildfire, first in the hangars, then in the mess halls, until every airman knew the name Thomas Mercer. But what started as shame soon became pride. Colonel Marcus Avery didn't file a report. Instead, he issued an order, a new heritage program for the entire wing. Every recruit, every mechanic, every officer in training would spend 1 day on the heritage flight line walking among the ghosts of steel and sky. And their final stop was always the same, a quiet afternoon beside the B-24 Iron Grace, with Mr. Mercer waiting by her wing. He never lectured. He just told stories about the freezing air at 25,000 feet, about laughter before takeoff, about a gunner named Danny Ohio Reed, who carried a photo of his sweetheart and never made it back from the 27th sortie. When he spoke, even the youngest airmen stood silent. The hum of the jet age seemed to bow its head to a past that refused to fade. The restoration of Iron Grace became more than a project. It became a mission. Crews volunteered after hours. Fabrication teams rebuilt her panels. Avionics techs rewired circuits that hadn't sparked in 80 years. Even the pilots, men and women born in the age of stealth, stopped by to polish her nose cone. The past and present worked side by side. Metal met memory, and the line between generations blurred. One evening, Tom stood on the scaffold, polishing the plexiglass canopy when a voice called from below, "Sir." He looked down. Ryan Hale stood there out of uniform now, jeans and a plain t-shirt. In his hands, a polished torque wrench gleamed in the sunset. "My grandpa worked on B-29s in the Pacific," he said quietly. "I was wondering if you could use an extra pair of hands." Tom studied him for a long moment, then smiled a small, weathered smile that carried 80 years of sky. "All right. Son," he said, "come on up. Let's get to work." The sun dipped low, painting the bomber gold. Two silhouettes, one young, one old, worked together in the fading light, the rhythmic clink of tools echoing across the tarmac. And in that moment, Iron Grace wasn't just a relic. She was a bridge between arrogance and humility, between youth and memory, between forgetting and remembrance. Because heroes don't always wear medals. Sometimes they wear time. That night, when the hangar lights dimmed, Iron Grace gleamed softly under the stars, and Tom Mercer finally smiled like a man home from war.